Today, we're taking a look at Carry On Dick, one of the last great Carry On films, and Sid James's final leading role in the series. Set in 1750, this film blends classic British humour with the legend of highwayman Dick Turpin, giving us plenty of slapstick, mistaken identity, and some truly ridiculous disguises.
You've obviously never heard of Dandy Desmond. He's wanted for robbery in 6 counties.
The film kicks off in classic carry-on fashion. England is overrun with crime, and King George II has had enough. Enter the Bow Street Runners, the country's first professional police force, led by the blustering Sir Roger Daley, played brilliantly by Bernard Bresslaw. He's backed up by the ever-weaselly Captain Fancey, Kenneth Williams, and his accident-prone sidekick, Sergeant Jock Strap, Jack Douglas.
Stay where you are! We're Bow Street Runners and you're under arrest.
Their mission? Catch the infamous highwayman, Richard Big Dick Turpin. Yes, Sid James is up to his usual tricks, playing Turpin with that trademark roguish charm, constantly outsmarting the authorities, and of course, making off with their valuables. One of the funniest early moments comes when Turpin robs Sir Roger Daley and his wife, Margaret Nolan.
Oh dear.
Leaving them stranded in nothing but their underclothes. Seeing Breslaw's towering but totally humiliated Sir Roger is a highlight.
I'll have your head for this.
And his wife's outrage at being left in such a state is classic Carry On. With Turpin always one step ahead, Captain Fancey and Sergeant Strap,
confidentially, we are Bow Street Runners,
decide to take matters into their own hands. They go undercover in the village of Upper Denture, where Turpin is hiding in plain sight as the mild-mannered Reverend Flasher.
Didn't see you in church on Sunday?
I'm not surprised Rector I wasn't there.
This is Sid James at his best, flipping between the respectable vicar and the cunning highwayman with ease. His sidekicks, Tom, Peter Butterworth, and Harriet, Barbara Windsor, play their parts perfectly. Tom as the bumbling church assistant, and Harriet as the flirtatious maidservant. Fancy and Strap think they've got a plan to smoke out Turpin.
Fancy a poke with that?
What did you say?
Your blade, ma'am.
I shouldn't worry. You don't look as if you've got much to lose.
But naturally, it goes horribly wrong. Their first stop is the Old Cock Inn. Yes, an establishment as dodgy as it sounds, where they pose as crooks and try to get information. Here, we meet the flamboyant Madame Desiree, Joan Sims, and her so-called French showgirls, the Birds of Paradise.
'Tis not the show that tires them so, but doing it twice nightly.
Joan Sims is fantastic as always, hamming it up with a ridiculous accent and playing up the role of the over-the-top entertainer. The whole scene in the tavern is classic carry-on chaos, with the 2 hapless lawmen getting nowhere fast. One of the funniest mix-ups of the film comes when Fancy and Strap learn that Turpin has a distinctive birthmark.
He's got this funny birthmark on his diddler.
On his what?
Diddler, you know what a diddler is, don't you?
Naturally, Sergeant Strap takes it upon himself to confirm this in the most awkward way possible, by trying to sneak a peek in the pub toilets. Unsurprisingly, this results in him being thrown into a horse trough, drenched and humiliated yet again. Meanwhile, Reverend Flasher, aka Turpin, is working on a plan of his own. Knowing that Fancy and Strap think they're close to catching him, he tricks Madame Desiree into luring Fancy to her room. What follows is pure carry-on mayhem, as Fancy finds himself in a situation he can't escape.
Get him off, go!
His trousers around his ankles, he stumbles back into the tavern in total disarray, while Strap continues to flounder outside. As things heat up, the Bow Street Runners finally think they have their man. Thanks to a tip-off from Tom, they end up arresting each other instead, believing they've caught Turpin and his accomplice.
I am Captain Fancey of the Bow Street Runners, and I'm Titania, Queen of all the Fairies.
Meanwhile, Sir Roger Daley, completely unaware of the blunder, gets robbed yet again on his way to confirm their arrest.
Oh no, it can't be.
His frustration at constantly being outwitted is hilarious, with Bernard Bresslaw delivering every line with increasing exasperation.
I knew it. I knew it.
But the real trouble for Turpin starts when Martha Hoggett, his sharp-eyed housekeeper, played by Hattie Jacques, starts putting 2 and 2 together. She realises that Mrs. Giles, Patsy Rowlands, who has supposedly been sick for months, is actually fine and dandy at the church jumble sale.
But the rector said you were sinking fast.
What, me? Oh dear, no.
Suspicious, she keeps an eye on things, leading to the net tightening around Turpin. Things come to a head at the Old Cock Inn when Harriet is captured and forced to prove her identity. Fancy and Strap convinced she's actually Turpin in disguise, demand she strip down to show the infamous birthmark.
Where's your precious birthmark? And where's the thing it's supposed to be on?
Of course, they quickly realise their mistake, but just as they're about to let her go, Lady Daly recognises a stolen bracelet on her wrist, sealing her fate.
My bracelet!
With his cover blown and the authorities closing in, Turpin makes a daring escape during a Sunday sermon.
But they've got Harriet. Bloody hell! Ah!
This is Sid James at his finest, delivering a drawn-out, exaggerated service,
Praise be to heaven, you're right.
while secretly plotting his getaway.
What will happen after this service is over, and you have to leave this sanctuary?
The congregation is baffled as he keeps droning on, but in true carry-on style, the moment he sees his chance, he bolts for it. Harriet and Tom join him, and the three make a dramatic dash across the border, leaving the clueless lawmen in the dust once again. And that's how Carry On Dick wraps up.
You are the most useless that ever drove.
One final victory for the legendary highwayman, and one last humiliating defeat for the Bow Street Runners. While Carry On Dick marked the end of an era, being the last film to feature Sid James, Barbara Windsor, and Hattie Jacques, it remains a fan favourite. The blend of historical parody, slapstick humour, and classic carry-on performances make it a standout in the series. Sid James shines in his dual role. Kenneth Williams and Jack Douglas deliver some of their best bumbling lawman antics.
Will not discuss this with anyone else but Big Dick personally.
Naturally not personally.
And Joan Sims steals every scene she's in.
Let's just take off your breeches and have a battle with me.
If you love classic British comedy, Carry On Dick is well worth a rewatch. Let me know in the comments what your favourite moment is. There are plenty to choose from. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into classic comedy. See you next time.